Hello, welcome to our new student webinar through the Department of Computer Science at the University of Colorado Boulder. We're excited to have you on campus in just a few short weeks, and we hope that this presentation will answer a few of your questions about being a student here in the Department of Computer Science. And we want to also just introduce you to those of us, the academic advisors, who will be able to answer more of your questions. So, there are three academic advisors for the Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. Carrie Sadler works with students whose last names begin with A through H. Lindsay Morford, that's myself, so hi, I'm Lindsay Morford. I work with students whose last names start with I through N, and then Leslie McDowell, who you'll hear from later in the presentation, works with students whose last names begin with O through Z. We also want to clarify there's a BA in Computer Science that's also offered through CU Boulder in the Department of Computer Science. However, the BA is offered through the College of Arts and Sciences rather than the College of Engineering. You will want to be aware of those differences. It's a different program with different degree requirements and different advisors. So the advisors you see below are advisors for the BS in Computer Science only. We wanted to start by clarifying what exactly computer science is. There are a couple of different majors on campus that involve computing, and so we wanted to clarify where computer science fits into this spectrum. So starting at the top, this graphic shows computer science as a spectrum from the distance from the computer user to the computer hardware. And so if you look at the top, electrical and computer engineering covers computer hardware, computer circuits, computer processors, what we would refer to as low-end computing. If you keep going down, you've got programming, operating systems, robotics, algorithms, artificial intelligence, software development, all the way to computer user interaction and user interfaces. User interfaces, human-computer interaction, those are going to be considered closer to upper-end programming, and one of the majors on campus that focuses more on that side of things is the technology, arts, and media major or minor. We actually have a lot of students who do dual degrees or dual majors with TAM because there's so much interaction between the two programs. Anywhere in between the hardware end, which would be electrical computer engineering, not computer science, and the TAM end, the computer user interaction, that's where the computer science department focuses. You are not required to choose a plan of study for your degree in computer science. However, we do recommend that if there's an area of computer science that you want to specifically focus on, because of the fact that computer science is such a broad field, on our website we do have a list of recommended courses for each of the suggested plans of study that you can see on the list at the left. Human-considered computing, machine learning and artificial intelligence, numerical and scientific computing, programming languages, robotics, software engineering, systems, networks, and security and theory of computing. Again, you're not required to choose one of these, but if you have a specific area you want to focus on, we can recommend courses that will help you in your future career in the specific area. So the computer science department and specifically the computer science academic advisors are located in the engineering center, which is at the corner of Regent and Colorado Avenue. The building is also home to many of the other departments in the College of Engineering. Most of your classes will be in the engineering center, but it's not necessarily the only place you'll have classes. We recommend that you come to campus a few days early before your classes start to walk your schedule and figure out where your classes are going to be located, so that then you don't have to worry on your first day of class about how to find your actual courses.
Hi, I'm Leslie McDowell. I'm the advisor for students O through Z, last names beginning O through Z. We just want to share with you some things that we do, that advisors do, and some things that we don't, because many students wonder, what is an academic advisor? What we do is we mainly help you navigate your academic requirements and policies, which means it helps you select courses, to plan your graduation path, to help you prepare for the senior capstone that is starting in the fall of your senior year, and it continues into the spring, and we confirm your graduation. We meet with you every semester, which is required, and we ask that you schedule meetings using my CU Hub, which you will do every semester. We'd like to have you come prepared with a course plan and good questions. And that's usually not a problem for most students. You may want to come and talk about a minor, additional major, or you may just want to talk about getting through the computer science plan. We also certify your degree, so we make sure that everything is completed, including your maps if you have a deficiency from high school, such as maybe you're missing foreign language. We confirm your degree once you are in your last semester. We also share information and resources with you. Email is primary and preferred means of contact, so be sure to use your CU Boulder email account. We prefer you to use first name, last name, so when you email us, we know exactly who you are. We all have several hundred students, so it's really hard to know who you are if you have a name that's pretty fun. For instance, rockstar89@colorado.edu. We want your first name, last name, so we can respond to you quicker. We respond as quickly as possible, but as I said, we all have several hundred students, so allow at least one business day for your answer. Excuse me. Some of the things we don't do. We do not work 24/7. We don't work at night or weekends. Sometimes we even get sick or take a vacation day. So we work through the week. You know, we all have various hours, so you want to check with your advisor to see when we're available. We also don't answer the telephone because when we're here in our offices, we're always meeting with someone, either a student, we have other staff at college meetings, university meetings. So the best way to contact us is to email us because we are always checking email. We don't enroll and drop classes for you. Sometimes you may have an extenuating circumstance, and if so, that's something you talk to your advisor about. We do not change grades for students. That would be up to you to take responsibility to talk to your instructor, faculty member, to talk about the reason why, and you too would work that out. Grades come from our instructors, not from us. Student bills and financial aid. We are not educated in these areas because we have to keep our eye on everything else that we do. So you'll want to contact the bursar's office, the financial aid office, or maybe you have a scholarship. That is up to you to contact those individual departments. Same is true for housing. Those questions would go to CU Boulder Housing and Dining Services. Some of the things that you should do is, the first one is really important. Don't memorize all of this. You can't possibly remember all these details, but you can use Google, make yourself bookmarks, and refer to them. Read your CU email because we send you important information all the time, as well as the university and the college. Read your CU email. Ask for help. This is really important. Be open to learning new things. That's why you're here. So get to know your faculty, your teaching assistants, your course assistants. the more you get to know them, the more apt they are to help you. So it's good for you, it's good for them. You need to build that relationship. Own your education and take responsibility for your decisions. It's your education. Start off taking responsibility. Do all the things you need to do. Go to class. We hear students say all the time, if they've struggled their first semester, that maybe they've not been attending class. And as soon as they start changing that fact, things turn around. Go to class, go to recitations and labs. The more you do, the more you're going to get to know other students who are doing the same thing, and you're going to make contacts that will help you through all the way. Come prepared to your advisor meetings and to class and to office hours. It's always good to meet with faculty and TAs and course assistant and advisors if you have a list of questions. Be prepared. Again, get to know faculties, teaching assistants, course assistants, use office hours. When you start practicing to do this right at the very beginning, you're going to build a habit, and you can continue it all the way through. And you're going to find that you know a lot of people, and you can use these people for references because they're going to know you. Also, another really important thing is to help create a positive campus environment. We all want to live and work in a positive place. And if you exude positive vibrations, you can pass those on to others, and you're just going to help make the campus a better place, and you're going to be happy as well. We all try to do that every day. Follow academic policies and expectations. We will help share those with you by emails. You're going to receive a lot of those from us and the campus, and on our colorado.edu computer science website, you'll find under current students degree requirements, you will find our policies and expectations.
Hey everyone, I'm Carrie Sadler, and so speaking of some of those academic expectations, wanted to review just a few of them here. Again, you don't have to memorize all of this now, but just wanted to mention it so you're aware. And then, like Leslie said, be on the lookout for reminding emails and things like that. So the first bullet might seem really obvious: attend class every day, every class period. It might sound obvious, but it's always amazing how quickly class attendance drops off at the beginning of the semester and how much that really does affect grades and academic performance. So just make that a habit, keep that habit, just don't even consider skipping class. The next bullet point here, a very general guideline on campus, is for every hour that you spend in class, you should plan to study at least 3 hours outside of class. So that will include time spent on homework assignments, readings, projects, things like that. For some classes, it might actually be more than that. For some, it might be a little bit less, but that's a pretty good guideline to aim for. So when you're planning your schedules and how you're going to be spending your time, that's what I would keep in mind. Standard GPA requirements, both the cumulative GPA, which will be all CU courses from any CU campus, and also your major GPA, which will be the classes used to meet your computer science specific requirements. Both of those GPAs must stay at 2.250 or better to stay in good academic standing. There are also specific minimum grade requirements. In some prerequisite courses, and specifically in our computer science foundation, core, and capstone classes, you'll need at least a C- for that class to count toward degree requirements. And then also, like I said, in order to move on to the next class, if it's a prerequisite, you'll need a C- for those purposes as well. We also encourage you to know your requirement term, and that's important because students are held responsible for the requirements in place when they begin a major. And so if requirements change, which they may have done recently, you'll want to make sure that you're following your own requirements and not necessarily paying attention to what your friends and classmates are taking for their requirements. They may be different requirements. And then, just like Leslie and Lindsay have mentioned, we want to make sure that you are aware of where you can find information, what your resources are, MyCU Info, MyCU Hub, online course search, degree audit, different websites. We'll go over some of these in a little bit, but these are all good systems and websites to become familiar with. So continuing to talk about expectations for just a minute here, this slide is showing maybe an example of what your weekly schedule would have looked like during high school, where you were probably in school for the same hours Monday through Friday. You may have had some extracurriculars after school, maybe had dinner around the same time every night. There was some unscheduled time, plenty of social time, things like that. That's great. You may also have had your parents or someone else helping you keep track of all of this, reminding you of deadlines, getting you where you needed to go, that kind of thing. In contrast, this is one example of what your schedule could look like in college, where you may not be able to eat meals at the same time every day. You might be in class for different hours depending on what you can get into when the different classes are scheduled. You might notice there are fewer gaps in between these items on the calendar, so there's less unscheduled time here. And one of the biggest points we want to drive home here is that you are responsible for keeping track of all of this. So even if you did have someone while you were in high school helping you keep track and getting you where you needed to go, that's most likely not going to be the case now. So you want to make sure that you are really taking ownership of your schedule planning and being prepared to arrive on class on time every day. Other obligations that you might have if you're working as well, you want to make sure to allow time for that in your planning. So we tell you all of that not to scare you too much, but to maybe scare you just enough to be prepared. And so to help with that, we wanted to provide some direction for some campus resources that can help you succeed here. Some of them are on this slide. There certainly are others, but these are some that we wanted to call attention to right away. We have a great career services office on our campus that can help with anything from applying for jobs when you're ready to graduate, looking for internships between now and then. They can really help you at career services from the day you set foot on campus, because they can help you consider whether you're in the right major. If you are wanting to use your major towards a specific career or you're still exploring, they can help you with all of those steps as well. CAPS, which is our Counseling and Psychiatric Services office, they have a few different locations on campus. They've been working really hard to expand their services all across campus. They're really a fantastic resource, and we encourage so many of our students to make use of them. They really can be helpful in so many different situations. There are some additional resources here. The BOLD Center, which stands for Broadening Opportunity Through Leadership and Diversity. This is a resource available to all students in the College of Engineering, and they offer services including tutoring and study groups. They have some career development. They have some great student clubs and extracurriculars. So they're really a great option, and they're located here in the Engineering Center, so I would check them out early and often. There's also the Student Academic Success Center, or SASE, that's available to students across campus with some similar kinds of resources as the BOLD Center. Here in the College of Engineering, we also have academic coaches. Coaches are not going to be tutoring you in any specific subject area, but can help you with things like enhancing your study skills, refining time management techniques, thinking about what strategies may or may not be working for you as you make your way through the academic requirements here on campus, and helping you consider how you might make adjustments to increase your success as you go through. It's a free service in our college. And then, like Leslie mentioned, all of our faculty, all our faculty who teach classes, are required to hold office hours where students can drop in, ask questions, get clarification, in some cases review homeworks or exam results, things like that. Most courses will have a graduate teaching assistant or TA, and then most of the computer science classes will also have undergraduate course assistants or CAs who hold additional help hours. So those are all available resources to you for each specific class. Leslie also mentioned some of the campus-wide offices. We have the registrar's office, the bursar's office, financial aid office. There certainly are others that are available to help students with various questions there. And then the Center for Student Involvement is a great resource on campus. It's kind of the hub of all of the student groups and extracurricular programs. And so we always encourage students to get involved. So that's a great place to start. They have a database that you can search through. You can filter by various criteria. If you're interested in a student group that doesn't exist yet, you can start one, and they will help you through that process. And there's information on their website about that as well. Okay, so this suggested bookmark screen, I'm going to leave this up for just a minute. Not that you, like I said, need to memorize these. Maybe you want to take a picture of this or refer back to it just so you can start familiarizing yourself with all of these different websites that we have linked here. You are officially expected to know how to get around these, use these for various purposes. MyCU Info is the student portal. MyCU Hub is the advising portal. That's where you go to make appointments with your advisors, various websites. While this is up, I do want to mention, and in particular for any parents who might be watching, federal privacy law takes effect the first day of class for each student. And really the way we see this come up most often is when parents contact anyone on campus to ask a question about their student, whether it's grades, financial questions, anything like that. Campus staff cannot disclose any personal information about a student once this FERPA law takes effect on the first day of class, unless that person, the parent or whomever, has an official FERPA release on file in the student's record. So just wanted to mention that can cause some confusion, especially towards the beginning of the first semester on campus. So there's more information on the registrar's website down here at the bottom, that link. So that might be something to consider. And students, if you're interested in setting your parents or someone else up with access to your record, there's information about that on the registrar's office website as well. And just briefly, we wanted to show what the home screen of MyCU Info looks like for students. This is really meant to be kind of the main portal for students that will link out to other kinds of resources, information, different systems that you might need to use. So really do familiarize yourself with this early and refer back to it very often. You can find things on this main screen like holds and to-do items. Note about that, holds can affect registration. They can prevent you from enrolling in classes. To-do items do not affect registration, but they can turn into holds if they are left unresolved long enough. From this screen, you can begin to register for classes. There are a couple of different views of a class search that you can use to build your schedule. You can find things here like ordering your transcripts, looking at your course schedule once you're enrolled, finding your grades, your textbooks, final exam schedule, lots of different resources on here. In particular, right now, I want to mention this Track Academic Progress button. That will link you out to the degree audit system, which we'll talk about for just a second here. Once you get into the degree audit system, if you just click this Run Declared Programs button toward the bottom, it will run your degree audit for your declared major. So for most of you, that's probably computer science right now. And the degree audit, once you run that, will show you how any previous credit that you've earned, whether that's AP, IB, transfer credit, or once you have credit earned here at CU, it will show you how that credit applies toward our degree requirements. You can also, let's see, that's if you click the Run Declared Programs button. You can also select to run a different program, or what we call a what if audit. That would be, let's say you're considering adding a minor or another major or switching your major. You can run this what if audit to see how your credit would apply towards that program instead of ours. You see that here. And then up toward the top, there's this transfer evaluations button, and that will be important if you're expecting any AP or IB credit, any transfer credit, any CU Succeed or concurrent credit from other schools. You can find all of that on your transfer evaluations tab, and we do suggest checking that often, especially toward the beginning of your time at CU, to make sure all of your transfer credit, including AP and IB, has been received and processed by our admissions office. And there's more detail about that on the registrar's office website as well.
Okay, now we're ready to talk about next steps. We get many questions every spring from new students asking about math readiness and saying that they've already earned AP math or calculus. But in order for you to be able to register, you must take math readiness, even if you have BC calculus. So get that completed as soon as possible. If you have questions about it, you can go back to online experience or contact new student and family programs. Get that done right away. Send all of your AP, IB, or transfer credit as soon as you can. If you have it but not yet in the system, which is usually the way it is, we would want you to wait and not choose a registration time for fall until after the first registration period. But if you have AP and IB credit, make sure you have it sent directly to your score sent directly to CU admissions. Complete all of the online experience modules and quizzes and sign up for the registration date. I just mentioned the registration date, but as soon as you finish the modules and the quizzes, you'll be asked to choose a registration week. If you don't have any AP or IB credit coming, you could choose the very first week. But if you do, it's best for you if you wait and avoid the first week. So that way we have time to get those credits in the system, since you may need those as prerequisites to move on. Follow all of the instructions from New Student Welcome as far as housing, financial aid, etc. And if you do have any questions, you can direct those to New Student Family Programs. Verify your CU email is set up as first name, last name @colorado.edu. Remember, we will get back to you quicker if we can see your first name, last name, as we have hundreds of emails to go through, and we want to get back to you as soon as we can. So it's always best to have your email set up that way. Math readiness, all students take that regardless of AP or IB credit or transfer credit. It's just, it's a step you must take in order to be enrolled. All students will be pre-enrolled in either pre-calculus or calculus. If you do have AP, IB transfer credit for calculus, you need to talk to your advisor about options besides Calc 1 or pre-calc, or possibly moving on to another next math course. So you would talk to your specific advisor about those things. Math placement also determines some of your other fall courses, such as enrolling in computing, enrolling in Physics 1, General Physics 1, if that may be the case. So it's something you must complete. Recommended courses for this fall. You will be pre-enrolled in a couple of courses. The first one being you're going to be enrolled in pre-calc or calculus, depending on your math assessment. That can be adjusted after your AP BC calculus would come in the system. But again, you should talk to your advisor about that. You'll also be enrolled in CSCI 1000, a 1 credit hour course that tells you about the field of computer science, the work and study. So those you'll be enrolled in. You would then enroll yourself in CSCI 1300 computing. You would also either select General Physics 1 or a natural science elective. You can find the natural science elective list and the complete list of natural science, the requirement at our website under current students degree requirements. The other course we'd like you to choose would be either logic or ethics. And on the same website under current students degree requirements, you can find the course options for logic and for ethics. And that should total out to about 15 to 16 credit hours for fall.
Just a few more tips about registration as you get ready for that in a few weeks. Keep in mind that your schedule might vary from what the previous slide showed, depending on your math readiness, on any AP, IB transfer credit you have coming in. If you have MAPS deficiencies, the most common one we see is foreign language. All of those things can change your schedule from kind of the standard suggestion. So be sure to talk with your individual advisor about all of those things before you register. A few other tips here. Engineering students in general are limited to no more than 19 credit hours per semester. New students in your first semester, you're limited to no more than 17. However, even though that's the maximum allowed number of credit hours, we really don't recommend starting with that many. We would recommend starting with around 15, 16, maybe up to 17, but that's going to be kind of on the high end of what we would suggest. Keep in mind that you're not just adjusting to new classes, you're adjusting to college life, typically living on campus, a lot of other changes happening. So we want to make sure that you're prepared for that and giving yourself some time and space to adjust to the full picture as well. And then another important note here, we have a lot of classes, especially in your first few years, that will follow a lecture and recitation format. A lot of students have not seen that before, so just wanted to mention that quickly. Typically, a lecture will be the larger component of a class. For computer science, that's typically going to be around maybe 200 or just a little over 200 students for lecture. And lecture will probably meet about 3 or so hours per week. And then everyone in that lecture section will break out into smaller recitation sections for about 1 hour per week, which is typically the lectures are taught by a full faculty member. The recitations are typically taught by a graduate student TA. And the recitations provide a smaller class format so that you get to know your classmates better. Often that's where quizzes are given, things like that, so that there's a little bit of a mix of the large and small classes. And then we'll end here just by letting you know if you have questions, we would suggest starting with reviewing those online orientation modules. A lot of general questions can be found there. And then if you have individual questions or something's not answered in the online module, please contact your specific advisor. As we've said a few times, emails are preferred means of contact. Be sure to use your CU account. It's also helpful if you include your full name and student ID number in the signature of your message so that we can look up your specific record quickly. We do sometimes offer Zoom, which is an online video conference, or phone call appointments. Those are really going to be offered if they're scheduled ahead of time so that we can be prepared and know what we're going to be able to discuss with you. Most of our interactions, our meetings will be in person. During the academic year, we offer drop-in hours for a few hours each week. Those are going to be ideally for really quick questions that can be answered in 5 minutes or less, maybe dropping off a form or something like that. And then anything longer than that, the long-term planning, talking about registration for future semesters, talking about study abroad or different detailed kinds of questions. We're going to ask you to set up an appointment for about 30 minutes or so, and you'll do that through the MyCU Hub system. So that's what we have today. We appreciate you tuning in.
We look forward to seeing you.
Yes. Have a great summer.
Welcome to CU.